Good afternoon, my fellow students. I'm Mr. Tamuku Isaac, your tutor for English Model 1, DES and DES Eng21. That is Model 1. This is our first content-based contact session for 2019 for your examination. Please don't get confused. It was once a combined module. Now it was split into two. You see the code DES Eng21. That means model 1. And then if you see the code DES Eng22, it means model 2. They are more or less the same content, but there are just a few differences here and there. So this is the contact-based session for Module 1. On the screen you see the contact details and the email address. The number is still the same, 447-1818, and the email address appears there. Okay. Now in this content-based contact session, it's not a very long recording, maybe to take 20 to 30 minutes. Let's look at the content of the recording now. Now, we are going to talk about 8 topics in this recording. The first one, we'll talk about the parts of speech, synonyms and antonyms, active and passive voice, simile and metaphor, transitive and intransitive verbs. I'm sure this one is very unusual to you. The English Apostrophe, Modal verbs and idioms. So there are 8 topics to be discussed in this recording. Okay, now without wasting much time, let's start with the first topic, parts of speech. As English teachers, doing the diploma in education, in secondary education, we all know the parts of speech of the English language. In the English language, we have 8 parts of speech. Those are verbs, adverbs, nouns, pronouns, adjectives, conjunctions, prepositions, and articles. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to highlight some things on adverbs and nouns. Of course, we all know what are verbs. Now, adverbs, these are verbs which modify nouns. For example, a beautiful house. So the word beautiful modify verbs or nouns. In other words, adverbs, they modify verbs. It says here, an adverb can also modify adjectives and other adverbs as well. Okay, that's one thing I wanted to make it clear. Now, number 2, nouns. Nouns are names of people, places, things, and ideas. Now, there are different types of nouns. We have common nouns, collective nouns, proper nouns, abstract nouns, and compound nouns. Common nouns, examples we have, for example, a dog, a computer, those are common nouns. And then collective nouns are names of groups of things. For example, a herd of cows. The word herd is a collective noun. A flock of sheep. The word flock is a collective noun. And then we have proper nouns. These ones are names of people or places. For example, Ethan, Eliana, Vinduk, Swakopmund. Those are names of people and places. They are called proper nouns. And then we have abstract nouns. Those are nouns, the things we cannot see or touch. For example, love, hope, fear, decision, poverty, and so many others. And then we have compound nouns. Compound nouns are types of nouns where there are 2 words coming together. For For example, wallpaper, birthday, newspaper, girlfriend. So in the word girlfriend, the word girl and friend, they are combined together to make up one word. So those are called compound nouns. Okay. Of course, I said I'm not going to go through all the parts of speech. I just highlighted the adjectives and nouns. Of course, we still have pronouns, conjunctions, prepositions, and articles. Okay, now topic number 2, synonyms and antonyms in simple English. Now, synonyms are words with the same or similar meaning. For example, the word large and big, they have the same meaning. Happy and glad, silent, quiet, tiny, small. Those are synonyms, words with the same or similar meaning. Then we have antonyms. Antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. For example, bad and good, close, open, false, true, happy, sad. If something is not sour, it is sweet. So antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. I know for sure as students, as English students, you know what are synonyms and antonyms. So you know now, just for your exam. Okay. And then active and passive voice. The difference between active and passive voice. In the active voice, the subject, which is the noun of a sentence, performs an action on an object. For example, he bought a car, or the elephant destroyed the fence. Now, in the passive voice, the subject is acted upon by the object. Now, the sentence, the elephant destroyed the fence, in the active. Now, if you change it in the passive, it becomes the fence was destroyed by the elephant. Simple as such. Okay. Those are active and passive examples. You can see the examples there. He bought a car was bought by him. And the one I just explained earlier on. Okay. One more time. In the active voice, the subject, which is the noun of a sentence, performs an action, that is the verb, on an object. And then in the passive voice, the subject, which is the noun, is acted upon by the object. Of course, we have examples thereafter. Then we have topic 4, simile and metaphor. Now, in the English language, simile and metaphor, they are the most common figures of speech used in literature. Simile and metaphor. Of course, we have alliteration and these other literary terms, figurative speeches. But simile and metaphor, they are the most used, commonly used figures of speech by so many literature writers. Now let's look at the difference between the two. Now a simile is a figure of speech. A metaphor is also a figure of speech. Now, what is the difference now? Now a simile is a figure of speech when you compare two things directly, when you use words like or as. For example, as cold as ice, as brave as a lion, as black as coal. When you compare things, two or more things, using words like, the word like or as, you are using simile. And then metaphor, on the other hand, is also a figure of speech used in comparing two things directly, but not using words like as and like as used in simile. Now, examples of metaphors are, she is an angel. So that example is an example of a metaphor. She is an angel. He is a lion. He is a pig. The way it appears, that is metaphor. So simile, you use words like and as. Metaphor, you don't use like or as. That is the difference between simile and metaphor. Alright. Now we move on to topic 5, transitive and intransitive verbs. By definition, an action verb with a direct object is transitive, while an action verb with no direct object is intransitive. Examples of transitive verbs we have left, took, kicked, rode and rode, move, and etc. And then examples of intransitive verbs are laughed, fell, and walks. Now I want to make one thing clear here. If you look at these examples of both transitive and intransitive verbs, you can't tell the difference. Now I would urge you as students to go through your dictionaries, go through your prescribed books, go through any other piece of writing, search for information. We are living in a very computer-oriented world. Search for more examples. Find out the real difference between these two types of verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. Okay. Now topic 6, the English apostrophe. It is a very common punctuation mark, the English apostrophe. In English, it only has two functions, the English apostrophe. The English apostrophe is used for two very distinct purposes. Number one, it forms contractions. In other words, it shortens words. For example, the word it, I'll, and I've. Instead of saying it is, or I will, I have, you just put the apostrophe in between, just to shorten the word. That's one function of the English apostrophe. The other function, which is the last function of the English apostrophe, is to show possession, to indicate that something belongs to a person or animal. You add an apostrophe to the word denoting the person or animal. For example, a teacher's guide, meaning the guide belonging to the teacher. Ethan's car, meaning the car belonging to Ethan. One more time, the purpose of the English apostrophe: 1, to form contractions. Number 2, to show possession. All right. Number 7, modal verbs. Modal verbs are types of verbs. Now, modal verbs are auxiliary verbs which expresses necessity or possibility. These are verbs such as include, can, could, may, might, shall, should, must, will, would, and many others. Those are modal verbs. And then lastly, we have idioms. When you Google the word idiom, it will appear idioms and idiomatic expression. Forget about the idiomatic expression. You focus on idioms themselves. Now, idioms are words or phrases with hidden meanings. Any word or phrase with a hidden meaning, it is called an idiom. Now, an idiomatic expression is another thing. So there are two different things. Now, examples of idioms are, I just put two here for you. Hit the nail on the head. We all know that one. If you tell the whole truth, that is, you are hitting the nail on the head. The other one, you kick the bucket. I'm sure most of the younger generation, they wouldn't know this one, but it actually means to die. If you kick the bucket, it means you die. Okay, this is the end of the contact-based recording for Module 1, DESENG. Quickly, let's go back to the content itself for your exam preparation. You prepare on parts of speech, synonyms and antonyms, active and passive voice, simile and metaphor, transitive and intransitive verbs, the English apostrophe, modal verbs, and idioms. Okay, thank you so much.